beloved sister, welcome to the sacred waters. The new moon in Cancer. The moon of the mother, the moon of the creatrix, of she who waters the world with her tears and births new life from her body and her heart and her womb. And as the sun blazes in the summer sky, of course, we just hit this peak of yang in the year, this peak of the masculine, the summer solstice. And what else would this intelligent, cosmic wisdom of universe do except pair us then with a complementary energy, the energy of the mother, the soft, sweet waters of Cancer, the first water sign of the zodiac. This is the time to feel emotion, to rest, to remember ourselves, to remember our homes, to remember our roots. So let's take a breath and arrive. You could even place one hand on your womb, this sacred portal of your mothering. This place which is the passageway from spirit into form in the human realm. It is where spirit manifests into the 3D through your body, whether that be through a child or through creation, through your art, through your business. The moment has come to speak into your womb, to hold your womb and to feel her wisdom, speaking, I am the mother of my life. I am the mother of my life, because you are. And whether or not you've birthed children or ever choose to, you are a portal, you are a channel. You create with every single thought, every emotion, every sensation. You are birthing new life into being through your state of consciousness. Every moment, billions of cells being reborn. And these cells are being reborn with the imprint of the waters of your body, of your vibrational state. So this lunation really calls us inward, this month of the mother, this deeply feminine month. So Cancer sits at the threshold between the maiden zodiac signs and the mother zodiac signs. Of course, the last zodiac signs are the crone zodiac signs. So the first 4 signs, the first earth, air, fire, water, those are the maiden signs. And Cancer is right there at the cusp as we start moving into, really, when we think of a child developing the chakra system, the psychological development of humans, the heart chakra starts to develop around that age of 7, 8 in a really deep way, when we start to really feel compassion deeply for others. So this mother energy of Cancer brings both an innocence but also a knowing, this deep cosmic compassion, this rulership of the moon herself. So she's not ruled by a distant planet. She is ruled by our own beloved moon, a luminous piece of Gaia herself that was just knocked right off of our atmosphere and has made life on this planet possible. She rules the tides and orbits our sacred satellite. So no wonder Cancer feels like home, and Cancer rules the home. She also rules the breast, the belly, the waters of the body, the sacral region. She is the sanctuary. She lives in our womb. She's the tenderness after heat. She is the placid lake in the arms of the mountain, the cool stream when the world burns hot. She is refuge. Cancer is not here to make sense. She's not here to be rational and logical. She is here to feel. How many of us as women know that place of the depth of importance of our emotional waters? She's asking you, this lunation, Are you nourishing what truly matters to you? Are you mothering what you long to bring into form? In the feminine mysteries, we say, where attention goes, goddess flows. Where attention goes, energy flows. We are birthing our life through our choices. We are mothering ourselves and our people and this world through our choices. We are taking radical responsibility as women on the path. But we can't speak of the mother without speaking of the mother wound. So not just the personal pain that we carry from our own mothers that we may or may not be in touch with, that we may or may not have, but the collective inheritance of a world that honored mothers only when they were useful. A world that honored mothers only when they were useful, when we produced sons in the past, right? When we sacrificed our body to serve the family, which is totally the realm of Cancer and is such a beautiful impulse, right? And yet, the flip side of that, the shadow side that has ruled mothership for the time of patriarchy, is self-abandonment for the comfort of others. The mother wound is the ache of being taught to give before we receive, which is actually irrational and illogical when it comes down to it. Because just like the mask, when you're going down in a plane, you put your own mask on first before you put the children or the elders' mask on. As the mother wound is really about the ways that as women we self-abandon for connection, for love. A misunderstanding, right? And yet so deeply woven into the feminine fabric of this time, and so up for healing and so alive in the healing field for those of us who are on the priestess path. To earn love through exhaustion is not ultimately of service to all beings, correct? And yet, how many times do we unconsciously take that path? And it's so built into the capitalist system. It is so built into our work system, not only our family systems. So many of us watched our mothers perform this martyrdom in large or small ways. They were praised for how much they held. But few of us saw mothers who were held. So it is immense and beautiful and powerful what a mother can do when she is on fire with love and passion for her family and her child and her business and her book or whatever you are creating. Mothers are the most important figures in society, right? This is the most important job we literally know on this planet. And yet, when we are giving and giving and giving from our bone marrow, we are not actually serving our creations. We're not actually serving our children. We are serving a patriarchal, hypermasculine paradigm. So thus the mother wound. So now we're here to break the cycle, of course, because we're cycle breakers, and that's what we're doing. If you're listening to this and you are ongoingly traveling and journeying with me around the moon, if you are in the priestess practices, the feminine sacred arts, we are being reborn at this time to break these cycles and to remember that the true feminine actually receives first and then multiplies what she's given. So I've talked about this again and again. I will never stop, but it is just the bare bones basic anatomy of the feminine system. We have to receive sperm, then we multiply it. We literally make a baby out of it. What? So nuts. And then we give it back. This is the energetic anatomy as well. So seed becomes child, rest becomes radiance, and love becomes creation. This is the equation we are stepping back into by reclaiming our own conscious, radical choice as mothers of this world to choose to resource ourselves before giving. So this isn't about blaming our mothers, but about recognizing that they too were caught in a system that valued output over wholeness. Let me repeat that. Output over wholeness. A system that values output over wholeness. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about patriarchy. And what we are doing is we are choosing something different. So when we talk about the mother wound, we are of course also talking about the wounds of Cancer, the shadow of Cancer. Every sign has its gifts, every sign has its shadow, and Cancer is so emotionally in tune that it can be bonded and really lose track of oneself over the giving and the serving and the loving and the mothering and the nurturing. And what a blessing, this nurturing, what a gift those who have received from friends or lovers or mothers, this nurturing force, it is the lifeblood that brings peace to our bodies and to our planet. And yet it is, when it is given without resourcing first, there is a wound behind it. There's a shadow behind it, and that will be passed on in the giving. So we know that we are energetically, no matter what it looks like on the outside, energetically, we are literally imprinting everything we create with the energy that is inside of our heart, our mind, and our body. So even if we're not conscious of it, right? Even if it's our shadow of overdoing, overfunctioning, overgiving. So let's reclaim the mother gifts, not just the shadow. The mother archetype is the breast that nourishes life energetically, creatively, and spiritually. The womb that receives and gestates and births. It is the heart that gives not from depletion, but from devotion. Depletion, devotion. Depletion, devotion. This is the polarity of Cancer. Are we giving from depletion, or are we giving from devotion? This new moon, we want to connect. When Cancer comes, we always want to connect with the breasts and the womb to feel her vibration in our body. And this is a communion to remember that we receive first, and then we give, and we offer, and we birth, and we nourish life through our heart. Literally, our breasts give milk. Our heart chakra is the one that is giving. So as women, we give through our hearts. We give through our emotions. Cancer reminds us that our emotions are our superpowers, but our pleasure and our nourishment are our birthright. So this is why, Cancer rules the home, and the home is that site. It's like this month is about, even though we're out and about in the summer, are you nesting and nourishing and investing in your home, investing in your nest, investing in your comfort, investing in the comfort of your people, investing in your family? And who is your family? Who's your real family? For so many of us, our blood family isn't always the first ones we turn to when it comes to family or we think of. So really connecting with and investing in our family, not from a place of I need to earn love, but from a place of I am abundant, I am nourished, I am grounded, I am rooted, I am whole. I don't need to earn love, it emanates from me. And this mother energy is not only a nurturer, she's a protector. She's the lioness that protects her cub at all costs. She is the boundary holder and the channel of the divine. So she is the mother who is not going to let her child get fucked with, right? And she is paired with who else but Capricorn. So we have this new moon in Cancer, which means, of course, we have the full moon in Capricorn coming right up to a full moon near you in 2 weeks. And yes, this happens every year because yes, of course, this is the divine choreography of the cosmos. It always makes the perfect polarity. And in this case, Cancer and Capricorn, boom, meet. And they might seem like opposites to some, the mother and the father, ruled by the moon, ruled by Saturn, the boundary keeper, the timekeeper, Moon, emotion, mother energy. That's where we go in the chart to see like what was your relationship with your mother. And yet they're not opposites. They're lovers. They're the mother and the father. They're the wholeness. They're the sacred union. They're the divine polarity. They are what we are embodying within ourselves when we truly claim the masculine and the feminine. Of course, this happens every month because every month holds a beautiful polarity. There are 6 polarities to the sacred dance of the zodiac. There are 12 signs. And these 2 really call out that the mother really needs to be protected, provided for, preserved, honored, first and foremost by ourselves, right? So the sacred union that the full moon in 2 weeks will call us into is, how are we providing and protecting for our emotional body? How are we providing and protecting for our physical body, every layer of our body? And it's also worth noting that the mother wound is a real thing for men too, obviously. But we do focus on women here, and yet how many of the men you love? Let's call out that every man on this planet, whether he be a corrupt leader, a corrupt CEO, or a leader and a CEO that is changing the world, or he be an artist, or whatever this being is doing in the world, a lover. He had a mother. So the mother wound for men looks a little different, but let's remember as women that we are creating the men. So like literally we are birthing the men physically, and then we are also, it is through the womb, it is through the yoni that we rebirth our lovers, that we rejuvenate our lovers, that we literally, it is through us that men feel themselves. And this is not to diminish that men have an inner mother and an inner father. This is not to diminish that all beings are masculine and feminine. And yet for those of us who love men, this is so important, because if we're sacrificing ourselves to make dinner, clean the house, to take care of the kids, and go to work full time, right? And then we show up with an empty account for our lovers, with an empty account for our men. And we're the ones that have to be the one to stand up for this, right? Like, may all of our men like be in a place where they're reminding us. And yet remember, everything is birthed through a woman. So it is us first who take the stand for our own well-being. And then we model it for our men. We model it for our lovers. We model it for our fathers even, right? How many women have rebirthed their fathers? I know so many women who, through their own healing process, have literally been catalysts for their fathers to feel more. Speaking about Cancer, the sign of emotion, how, part of the mother wound can be, for men, can be literally a lack of, a sense of responsibility for their mother, who felt so much that then they can't connect with their own feeling because they had to be the counterbalance. So we want to think complexly when we apply these archetypes to our daily life, and just come back down to the basics, that mothering ourselves first and foremost, not as a servant, but as a sovereign, is what Cancer is here to give to us as a gift. So receiving. How many women I work with are burnt out from loving everyone but themselves, and feeling guilty when they rest, and guilty when they say no, and guilty when they claim their needs. But guilt is not a compass. It is a code. It is passed down from mothers who were never taught another way. We're never taught to truly mother our lives, to stop feeding others from an empty well. And, all the feminine mysteries really in this modern day and age, the foundational surface level, and yet at the same time, the most deep passageway into higher power and pleasure and purpose is self-care is not selfish. It is the foundation of sacred creation. So the questions for you this month are, where am I overgiving in order to feel worthy of love, worthy of money? That's a big one for a lot of us, and overgiving in our work. Where do I still believe I must earn love? And what would it feel like to receive before I give? What would it feel like to receive before you give? This relates to, even though Cancer, is moon and emotions, it is so highly feminine that, anytime we're talking about the feminine mysteries, we cannot separate sex, because sex is life. Sex is creation. Sex is what makes you a mother, right? It is the sacred passage of spirit through our bodies. And think about it. Women's bodies, women's wombs, women's yonis, they must be warmed up in order to open. And then everything just gets, the whole pelvic floor expands, the whole yoni cave opens to receive. And that is when the penetration that creates a child born of the full choice, the sovereignty of the feminine body is born, right? That's when the seed is planted for a child who is born from a mother who is receiving pleasure through her sex. And of course, that channels out and translates metaphorically as well. So, of course, we talked about Cancer being the mother, Capricorn being the father. So with this balance, we are always finding that gateway to sacred union, the inner masculine and feminine, softness and structure. Where's that balance for you this month? Nurturing and boundaries. Ditch a big one. Nurturing and boundaries. The mother and the father, they can't have one without the other. You can't have true nurturing without sacred boundaries. Self-care, and also boundaries for your children, right? Boundaries how your people can talk to you, how your lovers can talk to you. And of course, our parents were our forced gods. Like, they were literally gods. They were the god and goddess. That's what our parents and early, influential figures were. So now, as women grown, we are learning to parent ourselves, and that is so foundational. We just left Gemini recently, and Gemini is, of course, the inner child. And we talked about self-parenting there as well. These are foundational to the woman on the path. We are reparenting, and we are claiming and owning the innocence and purity of our inner child, and being in touch with both of those energies on a regular basis. Because otherwise, we're going to keep trying to get our needs met through parents, through in unconsciously through our parents that did the best they can, but really weren't perfect, right? This is how we rewire the pattern, and we stop passing down the wound and become the healed mothers that create the new world. So this new moon, please do touch your breast, touch your womb, soak in water, reflect with tenderness. Ask yourself, what do I feel and what do I need? These two keys passed down to me through my dear friend Holly Taraya, I believe through her mentor Jillian Pothier. So these two questions, what do I feel right now and what do I need? It is so profound the way that these can change our lives. When we are in touch with what we feel, and the next question, what do we need? That is literally how we mother ourselves. And that is how we mother others. The best way to mother others is to keep, I was just literally talking to my sister with her, with my beloved nephew, today, and how he's such a sensitive young 3-year-old boy. He feels everything. He's a Pisces. He feels everything. He channels it through his body, through illness, even in the most organic, healthy home. And, we were talking about what she can do to support him. And, the answer is she can keep doing her inner work. That is the best way to support her son. Keep doing her inner work, and her and her husband keep doing their inner work. So we might even, this Cancer lunation, write a letter to the Great Mother, who is an excellent and primary, substitute when we do have literal mother wounds from our direct line. So I have remothered myself. I remothered myself first through connecting with Gaia as my mother, and then finding the mother within me that could remother my wounded inner child. Because I am a daughter of a complicated, relationship with my mother. Bless her. They did the best they can, right? But Gaia is here to remind you what the true depth of motherhood is here to remind you, that you are enough, you are worthy, you are loved, you are already a channel of creation. And whether you have children or not, you are a creatrix. You are birthing this world, you're birthing the new paradigm. And particularly for those of us on the priestess path, we are not only does what we do for ourselves, so the self-care, the reparenting, the showing up from authenticity with our parents and beloveds, the receiving, the capacity to receive, the capacity to rest, not only does it serve our awakening, but let's be real, that not only as women are we rebirthing our environment in every moment, we're rebirthing our families, our relationships in every moment. That is the power of the feminine. She births, she creates. But as priestesses on the path, those who are amplifying our energetic field on a regular basis through clearing, cleansing, and purifying out wounds and blocks, witnessing shadow and liberating shadow through our awareness into the light. Those who are on the priestess path are literally creating the entire world. We are creating the entire globe. This is what the priestess path is really all about. It is that whatever deep inner energetic work, healing work we do for ourselves, it is always in devotion to the highest good for all. That is explicit within it. It is like our devotion to the world. It is our devotion to life. It is our devotion to Gaia. It is our devotion to a world in which peace reigns. It is our devotion to a world in which all children are safe. This is what it is to truly mother. And this is the next level we take it to as priestesses on the path, priestesses of Gaia. So, let's close with just remembering that the great mother doesn't see a broken world she needs to fix, but she sees a beloved child to care for, to nourish, to love. So if you are focused on all the things wrong and focused on the wars and focused on, it's like, yes, that's real. And how can we nourish that situation? How can we truly heal that situation? We must heal first. We must be in our process of healing first. So blessings to you, sacred mother, Cancer, new moon. May your heart be held and healed and nourished by the sacred waters of Cancer. And may you mother yourself like the sacred child that you are. And stay tuned for Capricorn new moon in full moon in 2 weeks, when we meet the polarity, the father wound and the father gifts. Blessings on